What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Disintegrator's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at PlayArts Kai Star Wars variant Boba Fett. First of all, I got to give a special shout out to Lenny Dezefticon. You can check him out at facebook.com/Dezefticon. I'll have that in the description. This thing is sold out everywhere. His distributor, Chamungmung, if you're familiar with them, had one left. And he made some emails, some texts, whatever he had to do, and I got him. You know, paid for him, of course, but I was trying to get him, and I couldn't find him. He was sold out everywhere. But enough about that. Thank you to those gentlemen. Let me talk about these accessories. So he comes with, as you saw there, 2 fists for hands, and then he also comes with 2 posed hands, or 2 shooting hands, which also double for his knife-holding hand. As you can see, he holds the gun just fine. The gun is dry brush finish, which is nice. It has a black on here as well, and a gunmetal here, and then the red and blue details are in there, and it all looks perfect. Perfect. Which is nice, and all on a single cast. It's very, I just want to show, it is very easy to give a weapon a dynamic look, even if it is a single cast, as long as you put some love into the after bit of it, and not drop it on the floor. As far as the knives, I'll show you that closely, but he holds it in the same type of hand. I will take this knife out without trying to break it like I did my PlayArts Joker, just to show that he can hold this other smaller pistol, which is washed as opposed to dry brushed, single cast, and then painted silver there and painted silver on the trigger, which all ends up looking quite nice. So he holds that just fine too. And then he's got his finger, like his safe, like instead of like a finger on the trigger, it's like, you know, he's well trained in using firearms. Like, I love that. Little details like that, it does it for me, and it's the same on the rifle hand as well. I'm a sucker for little thought out stuff like that. He comes with the 2 knives, painted silver tips, and then the handles are all dry brushed. Fantastic. He comes with these 2, they're like rockets, effects, and they go from like an orange translucent to a fully translucent to almost like a purple translucent, maybe even silver translucent at the end, maybe a silver finish on the purple, hard to tell, but it looks good. And they plug into his backpack. Oh, that's because I gotta do it the right way. They plug into his backpack like that. And then you can give him, you know, put him in a jumping pose or what have you, and you can get his like rocket effect, which is cool and thought out. A very cool accessory. Very well thought out. Not as thought out. Well, let's do this first. So he comes with 2 posing hands as well. I'll be using one. And let's talk about this accessory here. So this is like the best accessory possibly of all time. This piece comes out, exposing this gap here, which you can then plug this accessory into. This accessory has this, which is all painted to match, and then this like white down here to this more translucent, different shades of orange with the white, like almost cream soda color type finish. And then this plugs in there so that he can use that. Now, I know what you're probably thinking to yourself, and that is, but look how it's connected with that thin piece of plastic. It's probably not going to hold up. They thought about that and included a stand just for the effect. How fantastic is that? So there's a ball joint opening right there, and then you would insert this, and then you could hold it, and you can pose them or whatever, and then it'll work just fine. And that's pretty amazing. That gives me the warm and fuzzies. Like, that's what you want from a high-end toy. That sort of thought. So without any further ado, let's talk about the figure himself. The head is on a double ball peg at the top of the head, and then a hinge from the neck into the torso. So the range of motion is pretty fantastic. Side to side is limited in comparison, but not really limited at all. And then the swivel is built in at every possible end. So there's really no limit to what you can do. Like that's he looks up a good bit. You will have to account for that extra piece of plastic getting it to go back down, but that's cost of doing business. The head sculpt itself, to me, is a little skinny. It doesn't look bad. And when and especially like if you get them posed or something, like, it doesn't look bad at all. However, like when you look at it straight on, it just looks like it's a little skinny, and then you imagine like a head inside of there. I don't know. It throws me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. Outside of that, we got silver painted on his like radar thing, which is washed, and then we got gold paint, silver paint. Like, it's so much paint, it's hard to tell what color. But it's a dark gray piece of plastic here, the same as this. So all the green, that actually right there might be its normal color. And then the effects, like the battle damage effects, some are sculpted and then some are painted, and because there's like a mix of the two, it's seamless. You can't tell what was sculpted and what was painted, and it just comes across as one cohesive looking thing. Really well done. All the yellow in there is well done, the red. Fantastic. The neck piece has a black wash on it, which looks good. No piece goes unpainted. And then the chest. This is where I have one area of issue. So they even did, I'm not sure if I've ever seen this before. This is called light source painting. People do it in models and stuff sometimes, but like, okay, so these little dots here are supposed to be lit up. So they give like a light dry airbrush of red around it to give the illusion that it's actually lit up. Amazing. And then all this stuff is painted, and then we have like a dark green wash on the green, and then we have silver accents, sometimes dry brushed, sometimes painted to give it the battle damage. All really well thought out. This is a brown piece of plastic that's then that's then washed with a dark brown ink or wash, and that's a soft piece of plastic, and it's just glued in as an after effect kind of thing. This is where one of the issues does come in then. So he's got a hinge. I don't know if you can see in there or not. This is like the upper body hinge for the torso, for the ab crunch. It is ratcheted, and it's connected to a ball joint that sits down inside the torso, which allows it to rock, which is all good. Only thing is that if you do go up too far, it does become super exposed. Like, I think you can see it in there. Like, not that you would ever have him leaning back that far, but if they would have brought this piece of plastic further up, it would have done away with that problem anyway, and that's kind of a bummer. Outside of that, though, everything else is good. Down into the waist is the same sort of thing, the green wash with the silver accents for battle damage. And then the wrinkles in the clothing are all washed with a black to give it the depth that it desires as well. These shoulder pieces are a soft plastic, so they don't really get in the way of posability a ton. However, you are a bit limited that way, but then you can pull up. The range of motion that you're missing is, this much. So it's not really a big deal. These are all washed and then painted silver afterwards for the battle damage. Looking good. Once again, the clothes are washed with the black. We have this new kind of play art shoulder, which is we've seen it before, but this is a ball hinge here that's ratcheted, and then it sits down into there on a swivel. So that's how they account for a butterfly joint, which is okay. And as you can see, you can look down, and if he uses his posing hand, like, he could be pressing the buttons on his which is all fine and dandy. So all good. Bicep swivel here works just fine. The joint, typical play arts ball hinge, ratcheted, soft ratcheted, get you way past 90 degrees, and then you get a swivel built in there as well. But you do start to lose some consistency of the sculpt. And then the red is washed, and then the battle damage effects are not painted on there. Oh yeah, they are. I should have known better. Yeah, they are. So they're there as well, all looking good. Wrist, typical Play Arts ball hinge that swivels right there, and then you can disconnect the hand if you so desire, which I will right now just to show you, to expose the ball peg, and then you can put his gun hand in there. Good to go. I tell you, there. Looking good. Same on the other side, except that this sculpt is different. It doesn't have this silver piece here. It's covered up, and then it has the Mandalorian symbol painted on there, which looks nice. Everything else is pretty much the same, and articulation is the same. The details are all the same. And I'm going to switch out this hand too, and I'll give him a posing hand. That's not a posing hand. Did I talk about these posing hands? I'm not sure if I did. They're 2 extra accessories. They're both posing. They're identical, just reverse molds. But they look good. And let's see. Okay, so the lower torso is on a double ball joint, it feels like. Actually, it might just be a single. And that gets you even more of the ab crunch. So his posability is really, you know, it's fantastic. And then you get the swivel built in there as well. Soft piece of plastic here that's floating. This piece here is a holster for the smaller gun, which is cool, and you can tuck that in there. Good to go. And while we're here, the backpack is all painted fantastic, and then this here is warped due to packaging. Instead of a skit, we're going to take a look at how to fix this today. That's my plan anyway. Okay, let's try to do this instead of a skit. So I often talk about the blow dryer process, and people often ask questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat this up and try to get this to, you see it's a little bent towards his head. We're going to try to get it to come back straight. Now, if it was cast straight, it will automatically go back right in front of your eyes as you're heating it up. It'll go back to its natural position. If it's not cast straight, we're going to get it cast straight. We're going to get it warm, and then we're going to hold it in place, and then we're going to cool it. And we have paper towels ready at the end. We have our water ready so that we can stop the heating process immediately if need be. And we have a paper towel to kind of guard a washcloth to kind of guard the rest of the figure. So I've got them wrapped like this. I got my blow dryer, and I'll do an overdub to talk you through it. So what you want to do is you want to keep the blow dryer like 6 to 12 inches away from the piece that you're heating. And when you apply the heat, you kind of want to apply it from as many directions and angles as you can, and kind of using like a back and forth, like a stroke, so to speak, movement. And you know, almost like you're painting it with the air. You know, it's like the best way to kind of describe it. And you want to make sure that you get all pieces of it, like especially like the base of the piece that you're trying to, you know, make pliable. And you know, it's just it takes a while. It takes, you know, this is a small piece of plastic, and this still took like I think 3 minutes or so to really do. So, and it can be a pain, and you know, you got to watch your hand because you'll be heating your hand, and you know, like, not that you won't be able to move it away safely, but you know, it's just something to keep in mind. If it's a really small piece, you know, you got to keep those fingers in mind. And like you can see there that it's kind of starting to straighten a little bit. But this one does take actually having to put it in line and then cool it, and then it's good to go now. But we'll see how it plays out. And it's a gradual thing, so it's hard to really keep track of it. But it works. It works a lot of times. It's great for weapons. It's great for like swords and stuff like that. Like I've used it on Wolverine's claws numerous times, and it's pretty good. So that's trying to get it into position. I've pretty much got it. Just making sure it's good to go. Cooler off. Now what I don't show here is me drying it afterwards, but you know, that's always a good sign. Not necessarily a good sign, but a good practice. So there. And that's good to go. There you go. That looks better to me. And otherwise, it's all painted. All the different parts are painted. Ridiculous color breakup. A lot of attention to detail. Just I can't say enough good about it, to be honest with you. It's glued on, so there's no getting rid of it. But there it is. And then this piece here is a cape. There's tons of paint on this thing. Washes and dry, like, okay, so it's a olive green piece of plastic, and then it's got this darker green wash fully on it, and then it's dry brushed with this like beige to give it the worn look. And then here it's on a ball hinge. That's soft ratcheted. I would have preferred a hard ratchet so you can get the blowing in the wind, but I don't really think that looks good. So most of the time it'll just be down on my guy, but whatever. Still cool that they included it. All these pouches here on the torso are all painted and shaded and washed and so forth. Universal ratchets for the hips that are fairly limited in terms of articulation, which kind of sucks. But they are there. Forward, not an issue, and the joint doesn't get too ugly in the back either. A little bit, but not too ugly. And then to a lesser angle, even less so. Same sort of light source painting here on the these pouches here. And then good, all the wrinkles and washes there. All the armor is washed and then battle damage painted. And same on the these, like, I don't know, whatever this technological nonsense is here. And fantastic. Double jointed knees that are pretty good. Not perfect, you know, for play arts, but pretty good. That's a pretty good looking knee. And this piece of armor here definitely helps. And they are ratcheted and feel very secure. And then all the paint is identical in terms of how it is above. Where the green is, it's washed with the battle damage, and same on the other side, same with the gold. These here are holsters, so he can store his knives. And you have two of those, which is nice because he can store most of his accessories, which is a pretty good touch. And then for the ankles, we have the ball hinge, which you can swivel around to get your rocker. So pretty much good there. And then the foot is all painted as well. So pretty fantastic. That piece keeps falling out. I'm going to have to really put some love into that. But yeah, final thoughts wise, the negatives are his hip articulation is a little limited. For me, the head is a little skinny. And some of the joint tolerances are super tight. So like when I've gone to like switch out hands and stuff for pictures or whatever, sometimes the wrong joint has come out. But once you get them posed on a shelf, that becomes a non-issue. It's really hard to harp on any of the negatives just because there's so many positives. I mean, like I can go on and on about this guy, just how clever everything is done, how balanced he is, like how easy he is to stand. The thought that they took with being able to store all the accessories and still make it a cohesive looking figure, like, I don't know. I could go on and on, but the hip articulation can be an issue. And then there's the general aesthetic that may not be for you. If you can't get behind the kind of the variant idea, then it's definitely not going to be for you. But if you can, he's for you. But all in all, this is a fantastic figure. I highly recommend you get a hold of one if you can. It is more and more difficult to come across one. And if you're a Boba Fett fan, you'll love him. If you're a Star Wars fan, you'll love him. If you're an action figure fan, I'm sure you can appreciate him just because of how much is really going into this thing. The accessories are top-notch, some of the best I've had ever. The paint is top-notch, some of the best I've had ever. Just the love and attention, and I can't go on and on enough about it. I'm extremely happy to have him in my collection, and I'm pretty sure you will be too. Get him if you can. If you can find him, get a hold of him, because I don't think that you will regret it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.